Let's look at how we are going to make RJ45 male plugs onto cable. So we will cut a strip of wire, and then with this strip of wire we are going to put an RJ45 plug onto it. So we got an RJ45 plug. Okay? Now, first thing here is we're going to strip with a pair of strippers. We're going to strip it back some. So probably about a couple of inches back. Somewhere about that length is about where I usually guess it. You're going to put the wire in there. Don't squeeze down on it, just let it close itself. And then just spin it around a couple of times. Don't keep spinning and don't squeeze. If you decide to squeeze on it while you're doing this, it's not going to just cut the outer layer of plastic, but it's going to cut the wires inside too. So you don't want to do that. Squeeze this open back again, it closes by itself. It is a razor blade in there, so don't run your finger in there playing with it. Then once you've done that, if you just bend this, you'll see you'll get a break in the wire, and you can pull the end of the insulation off there. Now, what we want to do is we're going to take the 4 pairs of wires in here and we're going to separate them out. Now, what you want to do is go ahead and start lining up your colors on it. And bear in mind, this is the reverse of what y'all are doing. Y'all are looking at it reversed up here, or I'm going to drive myself crazy. Orange is on the left. Brown is on the right. Green is going to go in between them, and blue is going to go inside green. Whites always go to the left. Solids go to the right. Okay? So, I'm going to start taking all these pairs apart, and you really don't have to go ahead and put them all in line if you don't want to as you're doing this. You can line them up afterwards, but it's going to be easier if you go ahead and put them in line to start with. So I'm just untwisting each pair down to the insulation here. And this one's got real good coloring. Because the white wires show the color on them real well on here. And then I'm going to do the blue one. If I can get it to untwist. And now I'll do the brown one. But whichever order you want to do these in, that's your choice. Because the significant part will be getting these in the right position when you get finished. So however you decide is logical to you to do it. My suggestion to you is come up with a peacock that looks like this. Okay? So that we've got a white orange, we've got a white green, and then we got a blue, a white blue, a green, a white brown, and a brown. So what we've done is we've got the white orange, so we've got the orange pair and the brown pair on the outside edges. But notice it goes all the way across. White, solid, white, solid, white, solid, white, solid. All the way through. But in the middle, it's the green pair, it's got the blue pair inside the green pair. Which means the blue pair is actually backwards from what you're thinking of. Because the white blue comes after the solid blue. Because it's inside of the green pair. Everybody follow that part? Alright. Now, once you've done that, what you want to do is you're going to put your hand onto the wire so that you're going to sort of lay it right there. I'm going to put my finger underneath those, put my thumb holding it, and then I'm going to work all of these together. Because the object we're trying to get to is we're going to have a flat little cable made out of here in just a moment. So we're taking it from a round cable to a flat ribbon cable. I'm just working them together here so they're pretty much together. Now, you can work with these by the pair if you want, or you can work with them all at one time. And these want just to jump some on here right here. So that now that you got your hand holding this, until we put this plug on here in another minute or two, you do not want to let go right here. This hand's going to stay put. These two fingers, they're stuck. We've just done super glued them together until we get this on there. So now that I've got this here, I've worked them more or less together. So what I'm going to do is take my other hand and put between the wires between my finger and my thumb on that one, and I am going to pull hard. Not easy, but I'm going to pull hard. Now, if it's easier to you, you can work with them a couple of wires at a time going across. But before you get through, you're going to do them all together. So that this one really worked together pretty well. We've now got basically a flat ribbon cable sitting there. Does everybody see that? Y'all see what I did to do it? Now, keep in mind that was not an easy pull. I've pulled here. This hand's holding these in place down here at the bottom. If I let go at this point, they're going to jump out of position. As you do that, you've got to keep an eye on them and make sure they stay in position. So it still reads off white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Does everybody follow on that? Picture your pairs on it, and remember white's always to the left, or solid's always to the right, whichever one makes more sense to you. White's to the left makes more sense to me than solid's to the right. But if solid's to the right, it's easier for you to remember, do it that way. If you know what your four pairs are and where they locate across there, and white's always to the left, you don't have to sit there and remember which color so much of what you're ending up with here, just how are the pairs ending up there. Okay? Now you can also get into numbers on these things too if you want to get into that problem. But we're not. But you're going to pull hard and it will come out as a flat wire across there. Okay? Everybody follow on that? Now then, at this point, take your plug and on it, and this gets tricky when I've only got two hands and I need three hands at this point. What we're going to do is we're going to slide this wire. We're going to cut this wire off in a minute, and we want to where we're going to cut it off so that the end of all of these wires comes to the end of this plug, and we want the insulation to come to this indentation point. Okay, to the point where it cuts on in here. So what we're going to want to do is cut this wire off so that it's approximately the length of the lower level in here. Okay? You want the insulation into here. You don't want to leave any exposed outside. If you do, it can give you problems. Is the red light on?
I think you was up above the...
Oh. I have several times, but at least it's something here.
Yeah.
All right. So, take that and sort of lay it beside your hand there. You know about where the wire comes to back underneath your hand, your fingers. Lay it there and see about where you're going to cut it off at. We're going to do a straight cut across there. So I'm going to take the wire cutting scissors and I'm going to cut where I just figured out approximately where the distance is. Don't make it too short either. You don't want it too long, too short. Make it too short, you'll never get it to work either. It's got to be a straight across cut. That one came out. So notice it's straight across. So all of the wires have got to reach to the end of the plug. Because if you look at that plug again, there's metal on the end of it. And if you run your finger across the outside of it right now before we've crimped it, it all sticks up. We're going to push that metal down into these wires. So you've got to get all 8 wires, you've got to make it up into that metal, or it's not going to work. Now, flat side up, we're going to slide this wire into there. I thought we would. I may have cut a little bit short there. No, made it. Actually, that one's perfect. Usually you're going to end up about halfway down in there. Okay? But you want to slide it all the way in. Now, it'll slide right back out if I pull it out right now. But you can look across there and you can see if all your colors are still correct or not. Because you can actually look at it and see them. You're then going to take your crimping tool and we're going to slide this plug into the notch on it. Push it all the way in. And then we're going to squeeze this shut. And again, like I said, pull on the cable real hard. Squeeze this real hard. It's your enemy that you finally got a hold of their neck. And squeeze it. It clicks sometimes, but I'd go ahead and squeeze harder just to make sure. And then let it come open, pull your plug out. And then if we pull on the two parts, it's not going anywhere. Okay? And that one's a well-made plug. Although I was pushing it a little close on that. Alright, that's one end. On all of the cables you make, that's one of your ends. Whether you're making a crossover, a rollover, or a straight through. What I just taught you is going to work on all of them for one end. And on a straight through cable, that's both ends of the cable are going to be made exactly like that one. Okay? And if you're hooking up your computer to a switch, you're going to use that straight through cable. So the cable you all make in here is completely usable, that y'all can walk out of here and take it home. Only thing is I'm going to let you make it this foot or two long. But you can take it home and use it. Okay? All three cables you make. Because we're going to test them too. So now let's make the other end. So for this one, let's make it a crossover one so I can show you the other type end. And then the rollover, there's one other end on it. So, we used first this pair of strippers. The word went out of my head. And even looking at Norman, I couldn't think of it. So, here's another pair of strippers that you could use. Set that I have at home actually uses this pair of strippers. It's got a little razor blade in it also. And they're both designed where you can cut this little inset piece on here. We can push out and put in here. You can also cut coax cable with it also, where you got to cut it at 2 depths on coax cable. They're both designed to handle that. This one, you push both blades up the appropriate lengths. So this one, we can use it too. We'll just use it just to show you the other pair that works. I really like those better, but actually my own personal kit at home, it's got this. So I'll drop it in here again into the notched area. Again, not squeezing them shut. A couple of times around. Squeeze it open. Bend it, break it, and pull it off. In the process, y'all are going to make a mess of the carpet in the room. Don't worry about it. Y'all pay tuition so that we can have somebody come through and clean up after us. Or we can get our work study student to clean it all up. So I'll take them apart just like I did before. So this time I'm making a crossover. So I am going to reverse 2 pairs. The only difference on the other end on the crossover is the orange and the green pairs get reversed. Where the orange was is now green, and where the green was is now orange. Only difference. To switch the orange and the green. So I'll proceed to unwrap these things again. And sometimes if you go ahead and straighten them a little bit out as you undo them, helps too. Whichever way tends to work better for you. And then this one is going to be the blues going inside the orange. But working off doing that peacock on it is the best way I've seen on it. Really, you're going to be amazed how easily it will work. Other than when we go to pull it. I'll give y'all one other warning on that one. If it doesn't feel like you're trying to put a blister on your finger, you're not pulling hard enough. I really think my finger's probably calloused on the side here from the number of plugs I've done at this point. So again, I've made it out into a little peacock there. And off that peacock, notice it's white, green, green, white, orange, blue, white, blue, orange, white, brown, brown. Only difference between the two ends is orange was here on the other end, green was here on the other end. We just switched the orange and the green pairs. The only difference on the two. The brown pair and the blue pair stay exactly where they were. And we're doing these two the standard, okay? By doing it this way. If it was a straight through cable, you're going, well, I can just make sure I just do both ends the same. That's not going to quite work for you. It may well work, but if you run into not as good a condition around you, or you're working on up to higher speeds using the cable, you're going to have a problem because the twists are intentional in there on the pairs of wires. So that you've got things working together common or twisted together, stop your crosstalk from coming across between your pairs of wires. Now if y'all go look at different places of wiring or even some bought patch cables that we're making right here, you'll discover they don't always follow the standard. But they ought to be following the standard. So I'll work this one back together and then pull it real tight again. And my blue's not quite as happy with orange as it was with green on the other end. But this is a day y'all get to walk out of class with something in your hand and be able to go home and show somebody that you've actually learned something. For a few of you, it might not be that significant. For some others of you, probably be rather significant, just like it was when I learned how to do the plugs 3.5 years ago. I've still got, if y'all want to see the first 3 cables I made, they're sitting on a file cabinet behind my desk in my office. The second 3 I made, because it was for Cisco, so for the final exam in semester 1, you got to make them where they work for that also. Besides having learned how to do it, the second pair that I made for that part, one of them is actually being used at home, that it's just connection between my switch and when I plug my laptop into my switch. So it's actually in use. But the first 3, they're museum pieces sitting up there along with that electric insulator, telephone pole insulator. So I was proud of them, still proud of them, even though I've made a ton of these since. Alright, so I've got it nice and flat again. I'll get another plug. Get another plug, estimate about where it is back in there. Looks like I know about to cut it off it. Again, a straight 90-degree turn on the cut. Take my plug, flat side up again, and you start sliding it in. And once it starts getting into that narrow area, they're going to stay put because it's narrowed down. They can't jump out of place. So once you get it pushed, as you start pushing it in, just sort of slide your finger back, letting it up lightly, and move your finger back as you slide it in. They're all in position. This one came out. This one came out really like I was planning the other one, but those are both good, 2 good plugs. Now, you might not do that good on your first one. Bear in mind, I've done them for 3.5 years now, and I've done hundreds of them. Because I've wired places, etc. I'll crimp it shut again. And again, like I noted earlier, on the back here, before we crimped it, if you ran your finger across there, you'd see the metal all stuck up. Now when you run your finger across, you'll see it's basically flat across there. So it's all plugged in there. Now the question is, does it work? Let me get the gear tester out. So that we will use this tester here, and there's some other testers we've got too that will work too. I really like the other one better, but I don't quite like this one. But we just got a fluke tester here, and we can check the wire map on it. So we've made a crossover cable here.
It's right there. You look at that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't see it. Thank you. So I'm going to plug one end into the tester and one end into the other end of it, which is basically just a terminator on it there. And then I've already set it on wire map. And so on the wire map here, it's now reading.
Should tell you which part goes to
That's why I'm trying to remember how to read this thing off again. Let me get the other tester. That one wants to go by the numbers,
Yeah.
and I don't know the numbers. This one's not going to do by numbers, but it's going to actually show us a demonstration of lighting across it. And then we'll look back at the other one. This one we don't need a piece on the end because we can plug both cables into the end of it. And so I'll turn it on. And at this point, it shows us 1 and 6. No, 2 and 6. Yeah, that's right. 2 and 6 are there. If I tap the test, it then shows 7 and 7. And 7 and 7 is our white brown. Okay? And those are the same on both ends, so that's correct. And the brown and brown match. It's an 8 and 8 match. 1 and 3 cross. Why 1 and 3? Because on one end it's the white orange is in the first position, and on the other end white orange is what? In the third position. Does everybody follow on that? So 1 and 3 and 2 and 6 are going to be the two that vary. And so if I tap it again, 2 and 6 are matching, and then 3 and 1, and then 4 and 4, 5 and 5, and then 6 and 2. So I've got a good cable there. All right, questions on that? Does everybody follow how that's working? You can also set it on, you can set this one on to automatic if you want. If you're good on being able to watch patterns of lights and realize what the pattern roll across there. And when we do a rollover, that works great. Now the other thing I will warn you on this switch is when you press the test button each time, it's been good on, or I've been good on hitting it so far today that it's only gone one place until that time. Sometimes when you press it in, it's going to want to jump a couple of places on you. So you got to walk your way back through it. But they're real sensitive on this for some reason. Now, to give you all, before I do one other thing, give you an idea of what your cost of your equipment you're looking at right here. That little box here cost us $100 3 years ago. Probably still about the same price. Okay? If you went out to get one, it cost you about that. The other one's a whole lot more. This simple little stripper looks like just a cheap little piece of plastic and 2 little pieces of regular blades on it, right? $20. And I think y'all can go up to Home Depot and buy a pair right now for $20. Okay? Your crimpers, they're going to run you anywhere from $40 to $60 usually, or more. Okay? If you're going to do these 3 items are going to be the three things you're going to have. The wire tester will be nice too, but you don't have to have a wire tester because you can visually check it. And besides, when you plug it all together, you find out if it works or not. You're going to need some type of pair of scissors also to cut with. And you've got a pair of electrician scissors right here. You can, this pair of crimpers got there too. Most of the crimpers do come with a wire cutter on them. Okay? Only thing is they don't work very well. For you to try to get your wire, and that you got to pull your wire down into there or how far you were going to cut it. But they do have it on there so you can get away. The other thing is, you don't have to have electrician scissors to cut the wire. You can get yourself a pair of pliers that has the wire cutter on it to cut them off. Something that's going to do a clean cut. Truth be, there has been a few times where I've done it that a pair of kitchen scissors, cheap kitchen scissors did the job. The only thing is, you do it very often, just bear in mind, if y'all are still young and living at home, don't go get your mom's scissors out of the kitchen and do it with, because she's going to hang you because you're going to dull the whole thing and make little marks into the scissors along the way. But if you're someplace and you're trying to do the job and you don't have anything with you to cut it with, that will work. And that's actually what it was. I was working one place and we needed to replace a plug. I did not have a pair of scissors in my kit with me. And they just grabbed a pair of cheap kitchen scissors they had sitting there to cut at the desk. And it cut them fine. It's just that it wouldn't have held up long term. These will hold up a whole lot better long term for us. Any questions on that? Now, if you're looking at buying these devices, I got a suggestion for you of a way to save money. These plugs, cheap little plastic plugs, right? How much a piece? They're going to run you 50 cents to $1 a piece. Probably pushing more towards $1 now again. But guess what? They're almost all plastic. And what's plastic made of? That stuff they're selling across the interstate for almost $2 a gallon. They're made of oil. That's what plastic comes from. So guess what? The price of them is not going to be coming down right now. If you look around in some of the catalogs, and I can't remember which company I bought it from, that I bought a kit from a few years ago. It had a hard plastic case for me, a pair of crimpers in it, a pair of strippers just like these, and it had 50 plugs in it. And I paid $75, I think it was. Turned around, and these things you can get rid of at $1 a piece as you're putting them in and stuff. So guess what? This part didn't basically cost me hardly anything. Or if I could have gone and bought these separately, I would have spent almost the same amount, not had a plastic case to carry it around in, and had all the plugs that I got in on the deal. So look at the kits out there on the pricing on kits if you want to get these. Now, y'all can make some money doing this stuff. Okay? Alright, now let's do one more at the other end of the rollover cable.